Road maintenance dominates question time in Parliament. North Fly people in dire need of clean water. And Unitec graduates 650 in 50th graduation.
This is the National EMTV News with Meribah Tulo.
A very good evening. Thank you for joining us for Friday's news. Works Minister Michael Nally says there is 700 million kina in outstanding invoices for the maintenance of national highways, provincial and district roads. These comments were made in Parliament after a series of questions were raised on road maintenance by the Department of Works. ECP Governor Alan Bird was the first to ask on rehabilitation on Wewak town roads after 10 million kina was made available 5 months ago.
ECP Governor Alan Bird began questions without notice today in Parliament on road maintenance in Wewak town and in the province.
On the 13th of November, there was a 10 million kina allocation to fix the Wewak town roads. And that money went to works on the 13th of November last year in the form of a check. The very next day, there were 2 contracts that ended up in Wewak to split up these 10 million, which, based on my understanding, were contrary to the Finance Management Act. So we put a stop to it. Since then, we have been in constant communication with the good minister and his secretary, as he will acknowledge, to try to fix the roads in Wewak.
Works Minister Michael Nally responded with a lengthy explanation on why the Department of Work is unable to maintain and rehabilitate roads in the province.
We got 30,000 kilometers of national roads law rehabilitating. I must tell Parliament and Papua New Guinea the truth. I need 700 million law payment outstanding invoices.
Nally then responded to Governor Bird's question and query on the 10 million kina set aside for the Wewak road maintenance.
All Wewak town roads. So commitment lo mi lo you now lo dila flop lo Parliament mi osem. Ba mi give priority lo you.
A supplementary question was then asked by a member for Mabrik, John Simon, asking the minister to explain how the 10 million kina had been reduced to 3 million kina.
What happened to the 10 million? He said he knows where the 3 million is. So just inform the House and tell us, where is that 7 million?
I will get to the department and make sure they tell me exactly what happened to the 10 million, and I will give you a reply in writing so you by 10 million you go away.
Member for Ejivitari, Richard Mesere, then questioned the minister on roads in his district.
We are caught in a dilemma where the contractor has already done the work, but the work is substandard. So we are now refusing to pay the Department of Works because the work no come up where I'm supposed to come up. So can the good minister please inform this House and inform the member and the people of Ijibitari how can this problem be rectified?
So if you are having a problem with our works people on the ground in Oro, what I will do is I'll send a team of men from Department of Works, Port Moresby, but at the top level to go and investigate, find out, and then we'll give you an answer in writing.
Throughout all the question, Minister Nally was adamant that the Works Department was focused on road rehabilitation, but he says they need more money budgeted for the department.
Honorable members, Mr. Speaker, if we want to do away with some of the services that government is giving to our people, now you will put in more the money on roads. Honestly speaking, I need very close to 1.5 billion a year to make sure that these roads are kept up to acceptable standard. My problem is, me no limla money.
Adelaide Siraks Kari, National, EMTV News.
Communities in the North Fly district of Western Province are in dire need of clean water. Community leaders say fish and other food sources have also been affected. They expressed their concerns to Emergency Disaster Coordination Controller, Dr. William Hamblin, in a recent visit.
Controller Dr. William Hamblin flew into affected communities of the North Fly district to get a detailed report of the situation. This follows numerous concerns raised by local MPs of Western Province. Locals say communities are now concerned as the main water source is flooded and food sources dying.
And the sediments are built up at a low level of it. Now it's coming up building, and it's really covering every part where we planted things like taros and bananas. So everything's destroyed. Sago, whatever you name.
Mark John is a teacher at Nomad Primary School. He says the water has changed color since the earthquake a month ago. Despite this, the school has continued. But clean water is a concern, with the community seeing a rise in skin disease cases.
And people around this area, they were afraid that it might be stop for so long. So maybe some like time taking long by
It's a similar scenario for communities in the Strickland areas further north. According to community leaders, 3 children have been hospitalized after eating contaminated food.
And they were admitted here in the hospital, so we sent them there at Kyunga already. They almost lost their lives. So these are some experience that we are looking at it here, caused by the flood.
Controller Hamblin says his office will organize for water tanks for the affected communities. He says food suppliers will also come with water containers.
And that should only go to the people who are affected, not just everybody. You know, people who have lost their gardens should be fed. The rest of the people can feed themselves. I'm not here to feed everybody. I'm here to spread that money around all those other villages that got the same problem. So.
Northfly MP James Donald, who accompanied Dr. Hamblin, says authorities will work together to assist those affected communities.
What I think, Emma Countersol, you know, Emma big the cost because and the long way to mass, Kamosela Cuba, Kamosela Hagen, so travel, thank you by needing helicopter and planning something. So big plus sorry and this time by delay yet, so you plan establish it.
Jack Lapavet Jr., National EMTV News.
The Northfly District presented a situation report to Emergency Controller Dr. William Hamblin. The report highlighted shortages in food supplies, water scarcity and the breakdown of health services. Dr. Hamblin was also briefed on the appalling state of health centres operating in the Northfly District. Northfly MP James Donald says relief and restoration must reach affected communities within the next 15 days.
We need medical drugs immediately because people will be immune to waterborne disease and all these things. So even with water tanks, of course there is a need for relief supplies such as food and all that, but I think that was in the first phase when really it struck. But right now we will really need all these things, mainly the water, the health and education is one of them that we really need to store back. So.
A water quality specialist is currently doing testing for affected river communities in Western Province. Emergency Disaster Coordination Controller Dr. William Hamblin says the results will be released soon. He says for now, communities must avoid drinking or using water sources for cooking or washing.
His report's going to come out this week as well. But he said to me that they're doing the water tests. He wants to wait till the water tests are done. But he said his preliminary advice was it's all to do with mud, not to do with heavy metals or anything else in the water. It's the amount of mud in there that's just making it impossible. There's no oxygen in the water, so the fish can't breathe, so the fish are dying. And until that water clears, the situation will continue.
This is Friday's news. We'll have more of the day's top stories when we come back after these messages. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the news. The National Capital District Commission, in partnership with UN Women and others, have launched a week-long anti-harassment campaign in Port Moresby to begin this Sunday. This global event will be witnessed in Port Moresby for the first time to make all public places such as bus stops, markets and supermarkets safe for all women and girls.
Be the first of its kind for Port Moresby City to actively take part in the anti-harassment campaign, which is a global event. Port Moresby itself is a multicultural city, and getting people to understand the importance of respect and equality has been a continuous task for the National Capital District Commission.
But the biggest social challenge we face now is the attitudes, and it starts from our people and especially our youth. What sort of message do we want to portray? What sort of future that we want to create for our city? What sort of culture do we want to create in Moresby? The challenge now is in the youth. So youths, I like to echo this message to the youth to take responsibility, to have respect for your fellow youths, to respect for your mothers, and think positively and act responsibly.
The anti-harassment event is to educate the public on creating a safe environment for women and girls to move around, and to create an awareness that making a girl or a woman feel uncomfortable to move around freely is not right.
In alliance with a global movement to end street harassment, we want to bring to attention the growing problem of street harassment in our city, especially Port Moresby. Street harassment include, unwanted whistling, touching, stalking, comments, demands, following, sexual harassment, rape, and many other negative social behaviors that are often perpetrated against girls in public places such as in the markets and bus stops and streets. These things, we should stop them. It's very primitive and civilized and not a good way to treat and respect other people.
Partnering in this important event is UN Women through sponsorship from the Australian and New Zealand aid.
Women's safety, it's a human right for our, women ourselves, but it also has an economic dimension that is a benefit for everyone in the community. Women, men, girls and boys.
The week-long program will run in schools through youth organizations within the nation's capital and others such as The Voice Inc. and Equal Playing Field.
We see and we witness, some of us experience it, some of us witness it, that street harassment is increasing rapidly. And today is the time that we want to make it public. We want every individual to take responsibility of their behaviors, their attitudes towards each other on the street.
Stacey Yallo, National EMTV News.
650 students graduated at the University of Technology in the university's 50th graduation today. Since its establishment, the university has graduated up to 20,000 students. This milestone today was celebrated by graduates, academics, invited guests, and students' families. Keynote speaker, Minister for Planning, Richard Marrow, told students to challenge the status quo and chart a new course for development in the country in the years ahead.
These graduates were challenged by Minister for Planning Richard Marrow to have a career goal earlier in life. Mr. Marrow, who is also a former Unitec graduate, reminded students that their contribution was needed to develop the country.
You have seen Unitec over 20,000 graduates in engineering, inland science, forestry, who've gone on and blessed this country in ways we cannot measure.
Since its establishment in the 1960s, Unitec has produced over 20,000 graduates. Amongst the 650 who graduated today, there were 37 postgraduates. This year's number of graduates compared to the past 2 years was lower, with the nursing college hosting a separate graduation ceremony last year.
I send you out to go and continue to contribute effectively.
For those who graduated today, they not only celebrated their achievements, they also celebrated 50 years since the first 4 students graduated from Unitec. Lucy Kopana, National EMTV News, Lane.
A father and son were among the 650 graduates at Unitec today. The father, Andrew Wiavi, graduated with a Master's in Communication Studies, whilst his son, Jordan, graduated with a Bachelor in Communication for Development. It was a proud moment for the family as they celebrated this double achievement.
They both graduated from the Department of Communication for Development. Andrew Wiavi attained his Master's of Communication Studies today after taking up studies in 2015.
Actually, when I was separated from this university, long before I was a student, but I chose to return to take up my undergrad studies, completed a degree with a council medal, and then went and worked with Oktedi, and then decided to come back. And when I returned, I took up postgrad studies, and I've completed master's today, and I'm proceeding to PhD very soon.
The 49-year-old father of four said it was special to graduate with his son today.
I walked out of this place in 2011 with the first degree and went and worked in Oktedi, but chose to resign and come back to take up postgrad studies. I registered in 2015, was supposed to graduate last year, but I took up formal employment. And after that, the work actually got tied up to my study. It affected it. I didn't graduate last year, but it's actually divine so that we will graduate on this Golden Jubilee with my own son.
This 26-year-old man looked up to his father as a role model and kept pursuing until today. Jordan is the eldest of four children. He believes he can continue to achieve more in life with humility and determination.
When you graduate alongside your father, and if he's ahead of you, like he's trying to make you feel like if he goes ahead, then I have to follow his footsteps too as well. So basically, my dad is always been my role model. So like inside schooling as well, outside schooling. So I see my dad always a role model, regardless of what.
The families were excited to witness as the father and son graduated today. Wife and mother Stella Wiavi said the double achievement today is one of the many blessings for their family.
The feeling inside me I cannot express because it's really overjoy in me. From how we came through from nothing to what the family achieved today, with the father achieving with his master's and the son first degree. It's really a great achievement for the family.
Julie Badui Owa, National EMTV News, Leh.
A community leader in the Awar LLG of Bogia district in Medang province is worried local copra and cocoa farmers are spending more money on the North Coast Road. Charles Napatuk from Damur village says farmers spend at least 500 kina a day to bring their produce to sell in town and usually end up making no profit at all. He says the collapse of the two bridges along the North Coast Road has seen opportunists and locals charging them more money to cross over makeshift bridges.
The latest is Nubia, it's Bogia.
The community leader in the Awar LLG of Bogia district, Charles Napatuk, says it takes them at least 3 days for them to reach Medang town. This is because of the two collapsed bridges delayed travel. The Bana Bridge earlier this year and the recent Nubia Bridge along the Bogia Highway. Napatuk says its people from Bogia are not traveling anymore due to the excessive fees they were forced to pay by locals and opportunists at the two bridges separately.
We feel it hard. All the money is gone. We play kisim long produce is gone. So this is our concern. Maybe think also maybe talking about authorities long look into our problem. It's a serious matter. It's the first time that happened. I don't want to travel anymore.
Napatuk said local farmers like him who usually transport about 30 bags of copra into town is paying more than he anticipated too. He said at the end of the day they go back to the village empty-handed as most of their money was already spent paying locals at the two bridges separately.
From one destination to another bridge and go to the canoe transportation or boat, we pay. Pay with a paid long cargo plus I go. Really, maybe like some time. Finishing me problem. Our produce money that we get, we have to pay the credit and we go back. And we're going back nothing.
The condition of the Medang North Coast Road has also deteriorated, making it more difficult for farmers like Napatuk to continue bringing their copra into town. He also appealed on behalf of the people of Bogia and Sumkar to the two elected members and the Medang governor to help fix the highway.
Maybe like in service, you must help people now. You had to help so no road. We hope that these things will come along normal number if the services flow. I spent a couple of days to come with the produce now. I mean normal. Normally, me place I start long 10 o'clock in the morning produce, me go back, sell our produce. So I appeal to the 3 members, since I think some moon, yes, like small kind funding number, yes, it take time, but please, our help is desperate. We need
Masa Luis, National MTV News, Madang.
With the hopes of empowering more women in the Papua New Guinea music industry, female artist Mariani Masani will be introducing the first ever girl band to perform live in Port Moresby this evening. The 7-member band is made up of students, mothers and a lecturer who have braved a male-dominated industry to come out and not only sing, but to raise awareness on social issues affecting women and girls.
The girl band tour has already made an appearance in Goroka and Lae. This is the first time the girls will be performing in Port Moresby, and according to Mariani Masani, tonight will be a challenge.
It's going to be a lot more pressure because in Port Moresby is where the entertainment is the capital of music and everything. So we're going to have a lot of musos out tonight coming to actually sit down and say, all right, you guys are the first girl band, let's check it out and see how you guys are and stuff. So the pressure is on, but we have been working so hard for the past 2 months. And we just go and we rehearse for about five hours every day for the past 2 months, just to make sure that our first performance as a girl band is one that everyone will kind of remember.
Although they have received support from a lot of PNG renowned male artists of the girl band, the feeling, Mariani says, is yet to sink in for many.
The aim behind this girl power tour is just to empower more women and bring more women into the music industry. I've been a solo artist for a very, very long time, and so I felt like it was. I felt like I needed to bring more females out into the music industry. So I've got a great bunch of girls that I work with that I got to meet last year, and they all came on board with me, and so this is the first girl power tour.
The Masani Girl Band was made up to encourage more women into PNG's male-dominated music industry, in addition to create awareness on social issues affecting women and girls in PNG through their songs.
Definitely, well, it is something so new, so the kind of support that I probably would have expected, we haven't really kind of seen that yet. I think it's just kind of new, so the guys are kind of getting used to the whole idea of females kind of starting up. Otherwise, we have a lot of support from the legends as well, like Leonard Kanya and Anslom and Ben Hakelitz himself. He's like one of our main mentors for the girls. So we definitely do get a lot of support from them and stuff.
They also launched their first song video today, No More, dedicated to ending domestic violence. Stacey Yallo, National MTV News.
Here with National MTV News, you go for a break now. When we come back, some stories making headlines overseas. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the news. Turning overseas now, Russia has accused the UK of waging a propaganda war, inventing a fake story and playing with fire over the nerve agent attack in Britain. While Moscow's ambassador to the UN made threats at a Security Council meeting, the former spy's daughter made her first public comment since the pair were poisoned last month.
More than a month after falling into a coma, Yulia Skripal is talking, releasing a statement through police. I woke up over a week ago and am glad to say my strength is growing daily. She says the entire episode is somewhat disorientating and I hope that you'll respect my privacy. The 33-year-old has woken to find herself at the centre of an international furore.
I'm really happy. And I hope that the Sergei Skripal will also recover. And I'm quite sure that one day Yulia will come back to Moscow.
In this unverified phone call aired on state-controlled TV in Russia, a woman identifies herself as Yulia Skripal and tells her cousin everything is okay with her father, the former double agent. He's resting now, having a sleep. Everyone's health is fine, she says. In a stormy session at the UN, Russia's ambassador accused the West of a coordinated, well-planned campaign to discredit his country.
Couldn't you come up with a better fake story? We have told our British colleagues that you're playing with fire and you will be sorry.
We cannot ignore the way that Russia seeks to undermine the international institutions which have kept us safe since the end of the Second World War.
Britain still has the solid backing of its allies, but having convinced them to join the diplomatic protest, they have to make sure they stay convinced. At the same time, keeping much of the evidence secret from the public, including the reasons they joined the dots to blame Russia. The Organisation for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons is expecting to have the results of test samples from Salisbury by early next week. Russia says it will accept the findings if the process has been transparent.
India may be on a fast track to modernization, but there are some archaic traditions that are proving hard to shake off. One is the humiliating ritual of virginity testing, which can seriously affect a young woman's social standing.
26-year-old Priyanka's marriage hasn't been arranged yet, but she's already thinking about her wedding. Not about what she might wear or even who she'll marry, but how she can get out of a wedding night ritual she says is demeaning.
They'll sit outside the room after every 5 and 10 minutes. They will keep on knocking and they'll keep on asking if you are done with the intercourse.
She's part of a group of people trying to end a tradition their own community holds dear. It allows male elders to judge a bride's value based on her virginity. They want those men and that meddling banished from the bedroom.
If she's virgin, she at the first night of her marriage, there will be blood stain on her white cloth, and that is the parameter, a major parameter of the purity.
Vivek is getting married next month, and he doesn't want his fiancée subjected to virginity testing on their wedding night. But among this once nomadic Kanchabat community, a tribal council has long had the power to determine a bride's purity and to sanction her if she's deemed to be broken goods.
This is against a woman's dignity.
Vivek has seen women publicly humiliated, even divorced, for not passing the bloody bedsheet test. He first saw it at a cousin's wedding.
And in the next morning, she was beaten by her mother. So that was very confusing and surprising for me, why she's being beaten up. And that was the beginning.
He started a WhatsApp group that's now more than 60 strong, allies using the power of social media to work their own way through the rituals of marriage without blindly following their forebears.
In this humble room, they're railing against centuries of tradition. The all-male tribal councils that preside over the virginity testing ritual were technically outlawed by the state government last year. But they still exist and they still wield immense power.
Oh my gosh. In India and in today's date, we are in 2018 now, and these rituals are still going on.
Young people are using all the tools available to them to push for change. The debate recently spawned this short film criticising the practice. The hope is that through social media, art and a little rebellion, the campaign to ditch an ancient practice will eventually cut through, so that future brides in this community don't have to fear their wedding nights.
A former Indian journalist remains in custody for people smuggling charges after his case briefly returned to court in Brisbane. 46-year-old Rakesh Kumar Sharma has been accused of attempting to smuggle 8 Indian nationals into Australia, telling security they were journalists reporting on the Commonwealth Games.
Ramesh Kumar Sharma is accused of trying to smuggle 8 fellow Indian nationals into Australia last week under the guise of journalists covering the Commonwealth Games. Mr Sharma, who formerly worked as a newspaper journalist in India, is also accused of presenting false documents for the group to immigration officials at Brisbane Airport. He was due to apply for bail in the Brisbane Magistrates Court today, but his lawyers told the court they would not be seeking bail at this stage and instead asked for adjournment. This means Mr Sharma will remain in custody for at least the next month. His 8 compatriots are in immigration detention and the Australian Border Force is moving to deport them as soon as it can.
You're with National MTV News this Friday. We go for a break. When we come back, some sporting updates in Trukai Sports. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. We begin with netball, and the PNG Peppers netball team has been in training since February in preparation for the Regional World Cup qualifiers next week. The initial 32-member training squad has been trimmed down to 20, with a few overseas-based players joining to boost the team. Despite funding challenges, the girls have been training hard to give their best at the Regional World Cup qualifiers.
Although the team is still short of funds to travel for the World Cup qualifiers on the 17th of April, this has not stopped them from training. PNG Peppers captain Jacqueline Lahari says the team is firm on giving their best to represent PNG.
We have some overseas-based players from Brisbane and Cairns, which has helped us boost our players as well in our performances-wise.
Although many notable players have retired from the game, Lahari says they have a good lineup of girls who have been in camp since February.
We have a young set of girls coming up. Most of the experienced girls have gone out, Luarikis, Kilala Owen and Winnie Mavara. So I've been the other experienced ones, Japet Tulapi and Nerita Adola. So we're trying to bring the girls up.
The Peppers currently rank 16th on the International Netball Federation listing and 2nd in the South Pacific after defeating Samoa in 2015.
The team is leaving next week, Thursday or Friday. So we have to qualify for that. Whether we come 1 or 2, we qualify for the World Cup next year.
Stacey Yallo, National MTV Sports.
To football, and President of the Oceania Football Confederation, David Chung, has resigned from his position effective immediately. Chung, who has been at the helm of OFC since 2011, took the decision after much deliberation, citing personal reasons. In announcing Chung's decision, the OFC said following his resignation, its executive committee would meet this coming Sunday. The PNG National Touch Rugby Championships kicked off in Port Moresby today. Matches started as early as 9 a.m. at the Sir John Guy Stadium.
Teams from all over the country are taking part in the competition. The Brisbane Maganis are back again to participate in the tournament. They first took part last year, or made a comeback last year, and have continued on to this year.
The relationship, we're building that relationship and hoping that more teams from international teams for PNG-based players will come on board. So it's a fantastic opportunity for us to, engage with people that play at a different level.
The first day of competition has been a success, according to tournament director Elena Dixon.
So over the next 3 days, we've got the selection panel of our national coaches that will be looking at finalizing the team for next year's Malaysia World Cup in April. And then we have Team PNG for the Pacific Games in Samoa.
Momentum will surely pick up over the next few days. This year has seen a decrease in the number of participating teams. A total of 27 teams are taking part in the different divisions.
Not as many teams this year. As you can understand, the economic environment has resulted in quite a few teams dropping out. But we've still got a good coverage of players.
The competition will run for the next 2 days, with the finals to be held on Sunday. Elijah Levet, National MTV Sports.
The Rugby Union and the HSBC Hong Kong Sevens started today. With teams aiming to qualify for the HSBC World Series, it was a very tough encounter between PNG's Pukpuks and Zimbabwe. The Pukpuks were the first to score through Wesley Valley. However, Zimbabwe came back too strong for the Pukpuks, scoring not one, but 3 tries in total with successful conversions. At full time, it was Zimbabwe 17 to the Pukpuks 10. Here with Trukai Sports, we'll have more sporting action after these messages. Don't go away.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. To some updates from the Commonwealth Games, and 2 PNG weightlifters were the first to get medals for the country. Moria Baru bagged silver in the men's 62-kilogram division, while Dika Toa in the women's 53. MTV's Dineros Raiko, who is at the Commonwealth Games, spoke to Dika Toa after today's lift.
All right, Dika, amazing performance. What are you feeling right now?
Well, I'm feeling disappointed with myself for not lifting that last attempt because I really wanted the gold medal, but I guess that's how things have worked out today, and I believe that it's God's plan because God has a plan and a purpose for each and every individual on this. I just want to thank the whole Papua New Guinea population here. I love you all. I've tried my best, but unfortunately I'm not bringing home the gold medal that we all wanted. But silver is good enough, and I thank God for giving me this opportunity to win the silver medal. And
all right, last question. After this, what are you looking forward to now?
Well, I'm looking forward to going back home and seeing all my beautiful people and celebrating with them for my silver medal. And I've got the Olympic scholarship, so I'm not giving up. I will still go on. We've got the Pacific Games coming on in 2019, and it's not very far.
Still at the Commonwealth Games, Australian athletes broke 2 world records at the Games overnight, setting the foundation for a strong overall performance over the next 10 days on the Gold Coast.
Kate Campbell overcame all the disappointment and uncertainty of the Rio Olympics to swim the fastest relay split of all time, 51 seconds in that anchor leg. It not only helped Australia win gold, but also beat its own world record by 0.6 of a second. So a remarkable swim for the 4 girls there. It was a special moment too for Shayna Jack, who also had to contest a swim-off just to make the team last night. So she'll be absolutely thrilled with that performance. Earlier in the night in the men's 400-metre freestyle, we saw Mac Horton bring home the swim team's first gold medal of the night. It was 1-2 there, with Brisbane's Jack McLaughlin coming in second. Mac Horton was widely tipped to win that race. He did it in front of family and friends, including his grandfather, Don War. Let's hear what he had to say.
All of our swimmers are just giving 100%, you know, and we're proud of them all. And we're proud of you. Especially proud of Mac.
And why wouldn't he be? 2 golds and 1 record there. Jack Vahero was thrilled with the team, but obviously there's going to be a lot of focus on the pool throughout the next few days too. It is early days. This is what the coach had to say.
Nothing is ever perfect, of course. You know, as a coach, you're always looking. You think this could have gone better, that could have gone better, but definitely close to perfect. Yes.
Yes, a sensational night there too for cycling, Kath. The men's 4,000-metre pursuit team securing its place in history, finishing in 3 minutes and 50 seconds, under 3 minutes and 50 seconds for the first time that's been done. Alex Porter said that they'd been eyeing off that time for a while now, but were just thrilled to be able to do that at the Anna Meares Velodrome in Brisbane last night. The women's team also did well, the 4,000-metre pursuit and the team sprint picking up gold as well. We had Amy Cure from the 4,000-metre pursuit team. She was thrilled with their performance. This is what she had to say.
Yeah, it's a great feeling. Been through so many ups and downs, and it was, sad. We couldn't get to go to the World Championships this year, but it's great to come and get this gold and do a fast time. I think, it's great on the road to Tokyo.
Well, we've just had some bad news out of the Kookaburras camp on the eve of their match. Blake Govers is out with a broken finger sustained in training. He's going to need surgery, so they're flying over Tom Wickham from Perth to take his place. There is more action in the pool with Mac Horton in the 200-metre freestyle. We also have Maddie Groves and Emma McKeon vying it out in the 100-metre butterfly. And the men's 4x100-metre freestyle, can they match the women's record-breaking swim? That's the pool. There's more action in the cycling with the women's sprint and also the men's keirin. Weightlifting, 3 Australians vying for medals there. My pick today is the beach volleyball, which kicks off today.
And Australia has announced former Test batsman Rick McCosker will lead a review in the wake of the ball tampering scandal in South Africa.
It'll cover cultural, organisational and governance issues, as well as provide recommendations to the Cricket Australia Board. Former captain Steve Smith, former vice-captain David Warner and bowler Cameron Bancroft have accepted lengthy bans. Cricket Australia says the review will determine if changes to codes and standards are in order.
Australian cricketers are role models for our young people and ambassadors for our country. Cricket fans and the Australian public rightly have high expectations regarding the standards of behaviour of our national teams. The independent review will provide an important foundation for ensuring these expectations are met. In addition to this independent review, Cricket Australia will initiate a separate player and former player-driven process to consider a charter that sets out standards of behaviour and expectations of Australian teams. It's anticipated that this process will include assessments as to whether changes to codes and standards governing player conduct are required. The outcomes of this process will form reference points for the independent review.
And that's a wrap for Trukai Sports this evening. Up next, the weather details for the next 24 hours. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
The weather details were proudly brought to you by Dulux, celebrating 50 years in PNG and the only paint made in PNG. Quick look at the weather for the next 24 hours in the southern region. Mostly fine for Port Moresby, a shower or two expected in Daru, Kerma, Alotau and Popondetta. To the Mumasi region, showers expected in Lae, Wau and Madang, a shower or two as well for Wewak and Vanimo. To the New Guinea Islands region, mostly fine in Lorengau, Kavieng, Kokopo, Rabaul and Buka, some showers expected in Kimbe. And in the Highlands region, Mount Hagen, Goroka, Kundiawa, Mendi and Wabeg can expect showers over the next 24 hours. The weather details were proudly brought to you by Dulux, celebrating 50 years in PNG and the only paint made in PNG. And before we go, a recap of our top stories this evening. Road maintenance dominates Parliament question time. Western people in dire need of clean water following earthquake, and Unitec's 50th graduation sees 650 happy graduates. And that's the news, sport and weather for today, Friday, the 6th of April 2018. On behalf of the entire MTV News team, pleasant viewing. Have a safe weekend. Good night.